Imagine customers raving about your services, and they're referring friends and families over to you. And those friends and families are becoming true fans of your home service business. That almost sounds too good to be true. But in this video, we're going to share with you how packaging your home service business can actually make that happen. Let's party. Hey pros, thanks for stopping by. And so this video is actually really exciting for me because I recently experienced something very cool, I would say probably unique, at a donut shop. Now, I know what you're thinking. What do you mean a donut shop? Well, this donut shop is basically like a few blocks away from my street. And it's a pretty famous donut shop for kind of like what they do. They kind of have like these specialty donuts, and they're pretty good, a little pricey, but hey, it's an experience. But one of the things that I noticed that as I paid for pretty much a half a box of donuts, there's half a dozen donuts for pretty much 20 bucks, I found that I was thinking like, man, these are pretty pricey donuts. I wonder what this is all about. And I hadn't been there for a while, but when I got my box, when I got my donuts, I began to see that it was more than just what was inside the box. It was more than just the donuts. There was a whole experience happening right in front of me, and I was really into it. Now, I have to take into account that, again, this is not really a story about home service businesses, but it is a story about a business in my local area that, quite frankly, I think has a lot of, it's well represented for what they do. And let's be honest, it's just about donuts, but the way they package their donuts, the way they package their business as a whole, it's pretty much an experience that you can't forget. It's a little unforgettable. In fact, I just had to show it to you. Now here we have a great example of marketing, branding, and pretty much packaging. These are a box of donuts. They're not anything special. They do have specialty donuts, but if we open it up, so even to the smallest detail, right? They have it super sealed. Again, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, good quality donuts, love, quality, kindness. Again, branding, marketing, things that are just outside the box. You're already happy to get donuts. You're even happier when you see this packaging. You're happy to see that you've got all this, sugary goodness. You're happy because you have that beautiful young lady right there, excited about those donuts. They're just donuts. These are just donuts. But again, packaging, the way you market your business, the way you build your brand is a big thing. And I think, for what they are asking for, these donuts, it makes sense. They're not anything out of the ordinary. And yet we have here this perfect box, this great brand, these great donuts. Yeah, they're bringing it. So as you can tell in that portion of the video, I wasn't really expecting that fancy box, the little lettering inside, the way the donuts were presented. I was just really expecting nothing. But the fact that they put so much thought and detail into that experience just shows me that this donut shop, this company is on the right track. Now, I need to take that into account because if you're thinking about your own home service business, well, again, there's a lot of guys out there who are garage door guys, HVAC guys, electricians, but you don't necessarily understand what the experience will be like working with them unless they present it or package it in a way that is appealing. And so that's why we want to really think about the question, is packaging important for a home service business? And the honest truth is that it is. The way packaging work is very similar to like what this donut shop was presenting. It's not just a box in itself, it's everything, it's every detail about the experience of not only ordering, but eating their donuts, right? And I think to a certain degree, if I'm being honest, I think that attention to detail was way more out of the park, way more over and beyond, that it just worked. And I wouldn't have necessarily thought like, oh man, this is probably like the best donut in the world. Honestly, it was just a donut. But still, it was a crucial part on how this donut shop does business. Now, I appreciate so much that donut shops and, of course, any other store that has a storefront goes above and beyond that way. But when I think about a home service business, I think that same experience has to be in there. And when does that experience start? Well, I think it starts by the moment people start looking for you on your online presence. So there has to be some sort of visual representation of your business. You have to package your business in a specific way that speaks to you. Like, for example, what that donut shop did, obviously, I can't replicate that for my home service business. The experience would just not be the same. But what could be the same is basically the treatment, the communication, the ability that I'm able to convey, obviously with the customer, the homeowner. Once I talk to them on the phone, once I'm able to just, work with them and get over to their property, take care of their issue from start to finish, it's got to be stellar. It's got to be pleasant. It's got to be helpful. It's got to have value behind it. And so again, how do I package that for my home service business? Well, I think if you're asking that question, then you're pretty much at a starting point. And if you are at a starting point with your home service business, I think it's important to start simple, because this process, and in fact, when this donut shop, when they started out, I don't remember that level of experience on my very first visit. I really don't. Yet they were able to iterate, they were able to refine, they were able to change that experience and kind of hone in on what they're all about and how they're much more different than the donut street across, or I should say the donut shop across the street, down the street, or in a different town. I appreciate the fact that that iteration, that the metrics that they utilize to be able to think like, we got to be different. We got to be a different type of donut shop. And how can we do that? Well, they really paid attention to how they present themselves. So they're definitely thinking about their logo. They're thinking about their branding. They're thinking about their uniforms, their t-shirt. Like, for example, this is my logo right here, that I had made. And it's pretty simple. I don't like crazy logos. I don't think logos that are too flashy, that, that are just really out there. I prefer simplicity. And no logo, I'll say this, not that there's no bad logos, but there's not going to be a perfect logo. I will say that. There's not a perfect logo. Not a lot of people will think like, my logo has to be perfect. It's got to be like Coca-Cola. It's got to be like Nike. It's got to be like Air Jordan. That's not really going to happen on your first go round. That's why I emphasize the case in the donut shop that whenever they started out their business, they didn't have this whole experience like what we've just shown you right off the bat. It iterated, it changed. So when you're thinking about your logo, when you're thinking about your website design, when you're thinking about either branding your vehicles, things of that effect, you don't want to necessarily think that it has to be perfect. But you do want to start. You do want to start somewhere. You want to be able to have a type of branding that is specific to you, that's clear, concise, conveys the message. I'm SOS Garage Door Service. Pretty simple. What do I do? Hey, I'm a garage door service guy. We repair garage doors. We replace garage doors. We repair garage door openers, springs, seals, all that stuff. We are a garage door home service business. So the idea is we're not going to complicate it. We're not going to make this too crazy when starting with the packaging. But you do want to start, and you want to make it simple enough so that way they can identify what you do, and they can identify how or who you are within this sea of home service businesses. So that's one reason why it's super important. Another thing that you want to take into account when you're looking at packaging your home service business, it needs to have a value behind it, and it needs to give a certain level of credibility. I see a lot of cartoons for home service businesses. I'm surprised how well that it works, because it does work well for those home service businesses, but I don't think it represents me. I prefer something a little bit more classic, simple, straightforward. That's what I like. It's worked for me for the past 20 years, and I've still been able to iterate off of it, but I'm not going out right now changing, I would say, the value behind my brand, the value behind my packaging, by doing something that does not represent me. But that representation and that packaging does have to be attractive. So I need to make sure that it offers some sort of value, and in addition to that, credibility, that it shows something premium, like we have a premium service, that we offer a premium high-end experience. And the only way that I'm going to be able to convey that is with my conversation. So when I'm packaging my home service business, I'm making sure that my conversation is high end. I speak at a level where people are understanding me, that they know that what I am transmitting to them is clear and concise. And I do not say things that are disparaging. I don't talk bad about my competition. I don't bash one product over another. And more importantly, if the homeowner has done something to their garage door system and, now they need someone to kind of get them out of the jam, I don't talk bad about them. I show them respect. I show them consideration, and I help them see like, hey, they deserve encouragement because they really did try to fix their garage door situation. And I empower them in a way that shows that I appreciate what they've tried to do and that the fact that they've called out to me for my expertise to get them through the rest of the process. And one other tip with regards to packaging your home service business is you also want to convey an idea of fast, reliable service. So it's fast. They'll get to you today. They're going to be reliable. You're not going to have issues later down the road, or I should say, the next day, or perhaps maybe weeks or months down the road. Granted, years down the road, that does make sense. They'll have issues, maintenance, things like that. But fast, reliable service is something to take into account. So value, credibility. You have excellence in performance, high-level experience, high-level service, and again, fast, reliable, being able to get to them. When you package your home service business that way, it does speak volumes. So don't waste too much time on how logos look and websites look and all of that. I'll tell you why, because all of that stuff changes. In fact, it has to change. I mean, I know of a home, not a home service business, but I know of a business that still has their 90s layout, 90s logo to their website. But hey, it still works, and they still utilize it. They're going through a revamp that I do know. So I don't necessarily emphasize on so much on the looks per se, because those things will change. What I would say is that you want to find something that's going to be visually appealing, that's going to not only speak to you, and I've been mentioning that a little bit, but you also want it to speak to others. So it has to be able to attract people within your community. But being that people are not really sure who they're dealing with, a face is always good to work with. A catchphrase or a little slogan or just a little blip, like for example on my videos and even on my SOS Garage Door YouTube channel, I always say, let's party. Why? That's kind of how I basically build my brand. And those types of packaging nuances, little ticks, those attention to detail means a lot. So think about all of that. Think about how the brand, think about how the packaging in itself is more about you, but also how you relate with others. And when it comes to helping people understand the packaging of your home service business, help them to be the hero. In other words, we could easily start saying that we are going to fix their problems and we're the heroes of the day. But no, we're not actually the heroes. You want to make in your packaging the homeowner the hero. Just like when I saw that box of donuts, just when I opened it up, I saw that box of donuts was going to make me feel the love, the kindness, the happiness, just biting into that. In the same vein, when working with a homeowner, you want to make them feel like, hey, you're the superstar here. You got an amazing home. You got great equipment. You got a great garage door. Let's make that garage door safe for you. Let's make this electrical system safe for your home. Let's make this HVAC system work great for your home. When you make the homeowner the hero, they're going to be a customer for life. They're going to rave about your services. They're going to refer their friends and families over to you. They're going to be fans for life. All because you packaged your home service business in a way that helped them, that gave them value, and that was enabling them to see the hero in themselves because they got to work with you.